Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay. Once again, we always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen to replay. This is the Tuesday episode that we do traditionally every Tuesday. Traditionally around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so feel free to click the live notifications so you can know when we go live. Make sure you got all the notifications on. Definitely making it a point to bring an episode traditionally every week. So just click your notifications so you can actually get the live pop-up episodes when we do episodes throughout the week that aren't always just one episode, or you could hear multiple episodes. You might have guests, things of that nature. So always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. This is the Vault, episode 352. What is an investment? Definitely emphasis on what is in an investment. And so definitely want to talk about that uh, today. We've had this question for a long time coming to trustees through the vault, especially when they talk about what do they consider investments and things like that. So we want to go ahead and put the table out there that this isn't considered to be legal or financial advice. We always have to preface it in that manner. And so we want to talk about that today. Once again, this is not intended to be legal or financial advice. So we're definitely just going to have a conversation with our listeners to talk about what is an investment, and talk about it from the manner of what most people don't consider investing. And we're going to talk about it today because we know what financial investing looks like and what trading looks like. A lot of people don't know the difference between a trader and an investor. And so today we're going to cover that. What is an investor? Uh, Things of that nature. So appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. You're now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. This is the vault, episode 352. What is an investment? So we could talk about investments, but we're gonna go to a pretty pronounced website called Investopedia. Go to the website. You can type in the word investment. Investopedia is pretty much a well-known website for just financial definitions and things of that nature. So when you read the definition of what they consider, we can go to Merriam's dictionary. We can also go to Black's Law Dictionary. There's many different definitions that we can go and reference to. One of the things that we get from the key takeaways from this particular definition is an investment involves putting capital into use today in order to increase the value over something over a period of time. So we're talking about things that has longer term returns, longer term values as far as returns. They're longer term numbers. They're not just a fall off. So let's talk about it. Well, it says an investment requires putting capital to work in the form of time. So it's not always just you always getting money or trading money or working money. It's also a form of time. You can invest time. So this is one of the first distinguishments where you'll see wealthy elite individuals say we're not focused on return on time, or we're not focused on return on income, because they have ROI, return on income, return on investment, return on income. So okay, we're gonna go, we're gonna focus on ROM, return on minutes. How much time did we put into this particular investment? How much time did we put into the project? Not how much money, but how much time first. How much effort did we put in? And it says, in continuing, in hopes of greater payoff in the future that was originally put in. An investment can refer to any medium or mechanism used for generating future income. So it's also a mechanism. See, used for generating future income. So these are just definitions from Investopedia. Of course, you can look at it from Black's Law, which is recommended from the law sense. And some of these things could be include bonds, stocks, real estate, property, or a business. And those are just some of the examples. So, we're just going to go ahead and do the Investopedia definition because they're pretty good at what their definitions provide in the marketplace when it comes to what is it that they have to say about investing what is an investment. They prettier. You can go to Investopedia and look at the website and see, what you see for the definition. So outside of us talking about money, quote unquote, investing in money, or are we talking about investing with time? This is where the mentors would always say, "Are you time poor? Are you time poor?" Because this is where an investment is literally based off of time, not just based off of money, but based off of time. It's not based off of just money. And so when we talk about it from that sense, where an investment is not just based off of money, it's based off of time, we can see that the investment is in the education. This is something that we have to share with the trustees that come through the trustee training all the time, people that reach out to the vault. It's a training program. The trustee training is a training program. And you have to be able to be trained in being a trustee or continuing your education as a trustee, whether it's in the private sector or the public sector. So it involves an education. It involves an education. Some people think, oh, well, these apps, they put this stuff on the internet. They're able to, you know, they're on the internet. They're allowing me to trade and do all this other stuff. And now I'm an investor in the market because I'm able to trade through these apps, through the internet. That's what people think is an investment now. They think that they can play around with money, they can play around with it through the internet. And it's really sad to see because people really look at it like they're just throwing money away. It's like a gamble. It's like online video game for gamblers. They just can gamble money away, pretty much, piss it down a rap shoot or crap shoot. It's the last gamble for Pete's sake. And if people say they're throwing little bits of money at it and things like that, people say, "Oh, well, I do a small percentage of my portfolio at it." Where I know investors that double down on positions, even sometimes when they're losing. So for someone to say, "Well, oh, I'm only going to double down when I'm winning," these are the mindsets of the people that are sometimes getting sold this internet propaganda, free market, information that is telling them that just because you're on some app, you're an investor now. How can you be an investor? You don't know anything about the companies you're investing in. Why don't you know about these companies? What do you know about these companies other than what you hear on the news? People say, "Oh, I want to be an investor. I want to be an investor." It's like, why do you think such a small percentage of the population is an investor? It's because they're willing to do the research. They're the ones really willing to do the data. They're willing to do the analytics. The ones that are willing to put together portfolios of not just one company that they think is going to do well or bad, but they have multiple companies. They get exceptional returns. We're talking about exceptional returns now from an investor perspective. Not just, oh, I'm just getting in, I might lose a little bit of money, hopefully I make a little bit back. It's this mindset of perpetual losing from what we see on the public side, when it comes to like those apps and things like that on the internet, where people are like putting money into an investment and things like that. They pretty much are, putting their money into something where it's like, oh, are you making a living off of that? People aren't necessarily making a living off of it, but are they playing around with money? Sure, they're playing around with it, and they're playing around with their time because we talk to these people in these spaces sometimes that are using these internet apps and internet stuff, and they don't really know about the companies. They always try to say, oh, well, this company's this and this company's that. It's like, did you read the company's prospectus? The company that you're on their website, did you read their company policy of what they're doing with the information that they're collecting from you or you're putting in? Like, are you aware of that? Are you aware of that they are doing data, running data based off of how much capital you put in? So they're doing statistics based off of the data. Like, and first of all, what's so crazy is like when you have proper mentorship, they share with you that there are financial predators on the public side. They share with you that there are financial predators on the public side, period. They share that with you all. They share that the brokerages are not your friends. You're like, oh man, how can the brokerages not be my friends? Because the brokerages are the ones that are marketing companies at this point. They're brokerages. Some of the brokerages are actually getting their own internal funding through a bank. So you'll see some of the funds now we've seen, or some of the brokerages we've seen actually, get their own like funding source internally, where maybe they've taken enough money from people that they, hey, now they can have their own fund, but internally, so they can fund their traders that are trading on the platform and on their website and things of that nature, or using their data, things of that nature. So it's interesting to see right now the lack of information, honestly, in the financial marketplace when it comes to this app stuff or these websites, because when you really think about it, it's not a lot of education out there. A lot of people say, oh, it's about the education, but we haven't seen that. What we saw was a big boom in network marketing for the trading, and through 19 and 2020, we saw a big boom. Even in 18, we saw a big boom for people trying to do the trading, and you got a younger group, millennial group, trying to learn how to trade, and then it turned into, oh, now investing. So it's like they're trying to use these words interchangeably, but you can't use these words interchangeably, because when you look at what in business we're talking about, uh, when we talk about an investment, investments are investment grade officers. You're an investment grade officer. You actually have to generate a certain amount of capital to even be considered a professional investor. So otherwise, you're not an investor. If you're not a professional investor, you're not an investor. I know that's hard for people to hear, because it's like, man, what are you trying to say? I'm using my money. So when am I going to be a professional? A professional is making $250,000 a year. So if you're planning on making $250,000 a year, you're a professional. Otherwise, don't play with it. Don't play with it. And this is the unfortunate part. So many people are willing to take people that have less than $250,000 money and just take it and rip them off. You got less than $250,000. Oh man, we're gonna take that. And there's actually laws against taking those people's money. It really is. It's actually laws that say you can't do, they're not allowed to do certain investments and things like that because they don't make a certain amount of money. Those are, you got accredited investors and unaccredited investors. You got you got qualified investors, and then you have uh, you know retail investors. They have sophisticated investors, and they have, we're gonna call them unsophisticated investors, because if you were sophisticated, you'd be making over $250,000 a year, and that's what they're calling for in this space. So when we talk about being, a retail investor, so many people are like, okay, am I an investor because I'm a retail investor? It's like, well, as a retail investor, like, what is your goals? What are your goals as a retail investor? Like, are your goals to become a professional investor? Because if your goal is to become a professional investor, it would be safe to say that you're gonna be focused on growing what's called an investment, something you put capital in and you grow it. And so this is where it's maybe interesting to see how many people are just willing to trade their life away, or if they're going to actually go into investment grade portfolio management, and maybe they go long only. Maybe they go long only, but we've seen people lose quite a bit of capital and what's even considered long only. So that means they're not taking their profit; they're just sitting in it for a long term. You going in, you can see it. You almost called a dime, sure, you know. But when it comes to what's an investment is, we can go to Merriam-Webster dictionary and see what the definition of these words are. You can say we can still do the Investopedia. You can go look even in UCC for a commercial code and go see what an investment is, and really make it a point to know that there must be some return, not just return on money, but return on minutes. It has to be a return on time, return on effort. So we sit around mentors, and they're like, yeah, people don't really know about these companies. They don't really know about these equities. They just doing, copycat trading. So they're not real investors. So that word's been convoluted. It's been mixed up in the public marketplace where people think, oh, I'm an investor because I have some money and, I'm playing around in these companies. And that's all they're doing is they're punting, which was what the mentors call is punting. It's like, really? They call it a punt? There's a punt. They're punting. And because they're punting, what can you expect? They're punting. Like they're not really making it a point to be a what's called an asset manager. An asset manager looks to me you're gonna keep it and grow it, not get it and then lose it to the market. Talking about, oh, well, it was a little bit of money, or that's just part of the game, or things like that, or not taking your profits when you can. So it's, are you an investor or are you a trader? And that's obviously what could be the broader question, but in the sense of what is an investment, it still makes an individual have to know, like, an investment is something where you're almost in it for the long haul. And from what we've seen, of course, you can sell off, you can sell positions, things like that. But when we talk about what is an investment, traditionally it may be longer term. Why? Because trading, think about it, they don't call it day investing, they call it day trading. It's not day trade, it's not day investing, it's day trading for a reason. When they call it swing trading, it's not swing investing, it's swing trading, because these terms have a purpose. So when they talk about day trading, they're talking about you being in and out of a stock, in and out of an equity, in and out of a bond, in and out of an asset in a day. That means you're in, you're out. You're making money, you're not making money. That's simple. So when we talk about what would be investing, clearly we could see investing is a lot more longer term. So a lot of times people aren't thinking about even holding something over a year. And if they are thinking about holding something over a year, then you can say, okay, they're looking to be an investor. You got out of the day trading philosophy. You're not trading daily now. You're trading on a longer term basis. So in turn, they don't call it trading. They call it investing. Investing now is where, once again, you're looking for that long-term payoff. You're looking for a longer payoff. And that's why most of the people that are day traders don't consider themselves day investors. They're not day investors. It wouldn't be even super exciting to call it that, because they're not. They're not. They're trading. That's what they're actually doing. They're going in and out of the market. They're buying, they're selling, they're trading. That's what day traders do. So when we talk about what is an investment is not day trading. Investment is not doing a weekly trade. An investment is something that would be a lot longer term, where you're sitting in a company for 3 to 5 years, plus that means and think about it, the smaller the horizon, the more you're considered a trader. The longer the horizon, the more you're considered an investor, because you're sitting in a company, you're letting the value of the stock go up, you're letting the value of the company go up, you're letting the value of the asset go up. Whereas if you're in and out of stocks or equities or whatever, that's trading. And then every day, or every other day, or every week, or every month, 12 times a year, if you do just 12 trades, you're still doing what's called a trade. You're not sitting in, an investment. Because sitting in investment would be sitting in it, not just, some people would say, oh, well, there's a return on investment for the time that you put in for those assets, specifically when you're talking about day trading. That's fair, but we're still talking about specifically capital. But we can also talk about time, because both of those are skill sets. Day trading is a skill set, investing is a skill set. These are skill sets. These are things that not everybody knows how to do. Investing is still less than 1% of the population, and day trading is as well. So it's not one of those things that it's not something that's not known to the public. It's just not known to a lot of unaccredited investors. And that's what the podcast really helps out with, is a lot of people that may not be accredited, but you can learn more and more how to be in an accredited space and operate in an accredited space, because it's a great place to be. It shares with you that you're not investing if you're doing anything shorter than months and things like that. It shows you that you're trading. So just knowing the perspective in which you're supposed to be in is even better. It's knowing, okay, I'm not an investor. What is an investment? Something that I hold longer term, not just short term. These are the mindsets that you get when you get a proper financial education. Not just, oh, I need to, get all this money. Sure, you need to get all this money, but then what happens when you don't have the education? You got to have the education. And it's one of those things that the mentors would always say, well, you got to get smart and do it quickly. And we're at that point where, financial information is paramount. Everybody wants to get generational wealth, or focus on investing, focus on investing. That means you holding assets. Holding them. Do you hear that? Holding. HOLD. Holding an asset. You're holding an asset, not trading the assets. That's an investment when you're holding it. Oh man, is it that complicated? It's not. Why? Because traditionally you're not trading an investment. You're holding it. You're trading assets, not an investment. So the investment is in the education in yourself and in the system that you're in. What is a true investment? What is a true asset? And becoming more and more proficient on the classes of these things because these things are important. You think we get this information for free? No, this is called investing in your private education. When you invest in your private education, you're able to obtain the fact that yes, there's a difference between an investment and trading. Trading has a shorter horizon and time frame, whereas investing is a lot more longer term. This is what happens when you invest in your private education. You learn those type of things as opposed to it being out here like, oh, I don't know if I have a solid financial education. Well, if you don't know if you have a solid financial education because you don't have confidence in your financial education. But when you have confidence in your financial education, you're very much so aware of, how to deal with these financial situations in the world. Why? Not just through, oh, I need it through experience, but you're actually living out pretty much what you read in a book or what you study. So appreciate Jacksonville for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Jacksonville for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to hit the notification so you can know when we go live and start listening from the beginning. Just always feel free to do that. Christian at trustchristian.com is the email if you're looking for a consultation. Someone actually in the chat asked, someone's talking about taking a jab or something, And this is a great question because people are crazy nowadays. And the mentor says stay away from the crazies. And this is what a crazy talks like. A crazy says, I'm trying to put myself in a trust. You trying to put yourself in a trust. How you going to be an investment? Are you an investment? Are you a piece of property? Are you property? Is your body property to the trust? How is it your body then if the trust owns it? These are the questions that trustees and people come through the consultations and the questions and stuff. And then they say, oh, well, what does the trust do? What does it do to? Does it separate me from, this, that, and the third? Is your mindset separated? Because it's not about the entity. It's about your mindset. What's an investment? Is the family investing in you? Or are they investing for the next generation? You thought you were slick. You thought they were investing in you. You thought they were going to give you the nice watch. You thought that the family's going to give you the nice car because you were doing the work. You thought they were going to give you all these things, right? But what happens when the first generation has to sacrifice, make the sacrifices for the next gen? What is an investment? Are you investing for the next gen? Or is it, oh, I got to live up my best life right now? And it's not to say we shouldn't live our great lives right now. But for someone to say, well, I'm thinking about putting myself inside of a trust. How are you going to put yourself in a trust? Are you still benefiting from your body? Do you still enjoy your body? Yes. Right. So you can't be a trustee of your body then, correct? It's like a living trust. That's public. Because you're still in it. And you never really gave up the body, did you? No. It's little stuff like that. Did you ever give up the body to the trust? Did you do that? This is the mentality that these crazies have. Oh, well, it's like, remember, look, your body, when you pass, can be the family's. That's it. It doesn't have to be donated to science and technology. It can be donated, or your family can maintain it. Your family can preserve your body. The body. But oh no. What's an investment? The people invest in making sure that their family knows that. Do they know how to make sure that they can identify that body? How do you identify property? Do people know that? Do they have descriptions of your body? Do they have your weight? Do they have how many teeth you have? Do they have, your eye color? What's an investment? It's in your education so you can know how to do that and not ask Trust Christian in the vault, oh, well, can I put my body in a trust? You would already know how to go about doing that because you got to invest in your private education. It's easy to tell somebody, oh, sure, you can do that. Yeah, that's what all the cockamamies, that's what all these gurus on the internet are telling people. Oh, you can do this, you can do that. Right, but Did they draw it out on paper for you? See, it must be drawn out on paper. Is it drawn out on paper? It's not drawn out on paper. Oh no, it's not drawn out on paper because it's not an investment. There's no long investment strategy. We were sitting at the this environment the other day, and this doofus, Rufus Doofus, wants to sit here and say, "Oh man, yeah, man, you just gotta get your business plan together." Yeah, right. What business have you started? What business have you started? Because we know people that have gotten money off of the executive summary when you have private education. You know that. What's an investment? It's in your private education. It's you traveling the miles. It's you investing in the miles. It's the family investing in the miles for you to be that soldier in getting the education for your family because it's private, it's not public, and you know that. That's why. Is it just the education? Trust Christian and involved? It's so crazy, we were thinking about just 2.0 level of thought, like just so in the moment right now. And we were thinking about so you went to public school and you had to go to school in the AM, but if you got older, you actually maybe had a part-time job in the evening or something like that. And it's so interesting because as you become an adult, so many people don't study during the AM and then they say they don't have time to study at night. But when you think about it, when you were a kid, if you were able to study in the AM and then still go work at night or work later on, because that was your values, was work ethic and generating capital, you know, you really have a different mindset towards being able to, where when you hear the elite or successful investors say, I was able to read about those companies because I read early on in the day, and they still read it early in the day. And then they have their meetings in the afternoon or something, but they 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 read early in the day. They studied. They invested in themselves early in the day. So many people say, "Oh, is that what it is? You got to invest in your education early in the day." That's what it is. So many great investors say they get up early, they maintain their health, and they invest in their mindset. They have these morning rituals of peace and silence and study of self and how to stay non-emotional in the financial markets. Think about how many people tell you that they're emotional about their investments or emotional about money. Money has no emotion, ladies and gentlemen, but that's what you learn when you have a private financial education. You learn that money doesn't have emotions. So how can you have emotions towards money or business or anything? How can you have those things towards the business? Because people have taken these personal mentalities into a business environment and it doesn't work. When you're investing, of course, you have to be detached from the money. Probably have to be more detached from the money as an investor because you're betting for the long term, not for the short term trading. It's not like you're saying the stock's going to go down. Most of the time, when you're an investor, if you're sitting in for over 6 months to a year, you're waiting for it to go down. I mean, go up. That's really where they are. They call them long. They call them long only. Pension funds. These are people that are just betting on stocks going straight up. So these things are available to people. What's an investment? People don't even want to know what the greatest investment is outside of studying themselves. They don't really want to know that. They say, "Oh, the greatest investment you can make." This is what the mentors told Trust Christian and Vault early on in life, and this is why we successful. They say, "You you only as successful as the people that you help. So the greatest investment that you could never make is in people." Now we could say it's the money, but we could also say it's the people. So when we talk about what's an investment, investing in other people is an infinite principle, is an infinite truth. When people want to talk about investing, are you investing in money or are you investing in people? I mean, these are the mentalities that have to be thought about as an individual is progressing through generating wealth or capital or saying they're making an investment, or are you a trader? That's the difference. Are you talking investment mentality or are you talking trader? And that's what we want to distinguish, because a lot of times a lot of people are talking this, "Oh, I'm an investor," but you're in and out of trades daily, weekly, monthly. People are traders, and they got to understand that trading is actually a very challenging skill. That's definitely even in an upper 1%, being a trader. But that's not what it's about. You can be an investor too. Investment obviously requires study, but trading and study are two different things. Trading and investing are two different things, and being an investor still requires, for you to read what's called those long-term traders. Um, when you look into the Warren Buffett's, considered to be a long-term trader, he's not a day trader. He's not day trading. You get these guys on the internet nowadays. Oh, I'm gonna help you learn how to make money every day, right? Because Warren Buffett's not selling this course for you to invest. He's not selling the course for you to invest. But these day traders are selling their courses, right? Right. And we here to just let you know about these fools selling you a day trading course. You think is more successful, the day traders or Warren Buffett, the investor? The one that's actually saying, I'm doing the research, I'm reading about these companies in the morning before I go to work if I had a job, and guess what? I'm going to learn how to go off of learning about a company and seeing if it's a good company and putting capital behind it. Whereas somebody else would say, oh, well, are you day trading? Because day trading is where you're going in, doing those, short trades, those things like that. That's day trading. Investing is completely different. But this is what we got to expose in the marketplace. Because when you come from communities or places want to sit here and amalgamate these terms, like, oh, we got to amalgamate investing and trading, they're not the same thing. That's not synonymous. They're actually two thought processes that are completely different in the way in which you approach the strategies. And we have to make that very clear. So when people come to the vault and they say, oh, I'm thinking about, my trading, I'm trading. Right. You're not an investor. And you have to be okay with not being called that. Some people, oh man, I want to be called an investor. I want to be called an investor. It's like, well, okay, what are you sitting in longer than a year? What are you holding longer than a year? And what's so beautiful is when you come into private, some things that are on the public side that are considered public investments, they're not even considered public investments in the private. They're considered private savings. So just because you investing, you don't have a savings. Savings and investings are two different things. And this is what we got to say, because when we talk about savings and investing, savings is actually hard liquid cash. Hard liquid. Not investing. That's actual, we got to talk about realized, unrealized. We have to talk about margin. We have to talk about true P&L when we talk about investing. Investing is something that may or may not have realized gains yet. But we talking about now, are we trading? Or are we investing? Are we saving? What is an investment? Something that we hold for a long period of time, longer than obviously a day, a week. And what's interesting, somebody typed into the chat fundamentals versus technicals when it's really fundamentals and technicals, not versus. And you'll see so many people sometimes on the public side when they talk about um, whether it's trading or investing. Are you a fundamentalist? And it's like, well, anyone that's going off the technicals only, they're a day trader. These are the people that are sitting on the internet peddling the BS. When you look at Warren Buffett, does he tell you he's a fundamental investor? Is he a fundamental investor? Is he a value investor? These are people that are actually looking into the companies, not just looking at a chart saying, oh, well, the chart is the all and be all. The chart is not the all and be all. The chart is a past tense thing. The chart is past tense. And we get so many people talking about, oh, well, is it just the technicals? I mean, we already know it's the technicals and the fundamentals. The fundamentals, what are the fundamentals? Do the investors on the public side know what the retail investors know? Do they know what fundamentals are? What do you think the fundamentals are? The fundamentals are the foundation of the company. Why would you be going off of the technicals? The technicals are the aftermath. It's like, what type of indicators are you looking at? Are you looking at lagging indicators? Are you looking at leading indicators? Fundamentals will be more of a leading. Technicals are already done. That's past tense. But do people know about those indicators? Oh, I got the indicators. I got all these different indicators. It's like, no, you have to invest in your private education. That's what has to happen. The family has to invest in their private education. They have to invest for their private education. That's what it comes down to. And if individuals don't do it, then or families don't do it, we're gonna see where it goes. It's gonna be continue to be the ones that have the knowledge and the ones that don't. So if you think that you're supposed to have more, or you how can you have more if you don't have the knowledge to have more? You have to have the knowledge to have more. And that's what wealthy people buy. Rich people buy knowledge. They're investing in their education. That means they're investing in something for the long term. That's their financial rewards through the long term, not the short term. That's trading. They're not just trading their time for money. They're not just trading their time for small assets. They're looking to trade for big investments and payoffs. That's the difference. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay. This is the Vault, episode 352. What is an investment? Want to definitely thank everybody for tuning in live, listening to the episode. If you have any questions in your live, feel free to type them into the chat. Definitely feel free, especially if it's on topic about investing. Feel free to type a question into the chat. But just appreciate everybody that tunes in live. The episode. Definitely do this for trustees because a lot of people always ask about whether it's putting themselves in the trust as an asset or something like that. You know, what is an investment? People ask about that. People are kind of conflicted about the trading and the investing, and it just comes down to what is going to be your position. How are you going to move? Are you going to day? Are you going to swing? Are you going monthly? Or how are you going to move? And that just comes down to almost what is your investment strategy, which is what is your long-term financial strategy, and it comes from investments. It comes from whether you invest in yourself to get short money or for whether you're investing in yourself to get the long money. And that's the interesting part about it is what is an investment? Is it an investment for the short term or is it an investment for the long term? And really, the education is always traditionally going to be geared for the long term, not for the short term. Most people want something that they say they can get a residual or some type of long term effect off of. So that would be considered an investment in your education, not just some short term blip. So obviously that's trading. So we just wanted to distinguish that, talk to the listeners today, trustees and otherwise, and just share what is an investment, talk about it with trustees and people in the public that we have listeners to, because these are the sensitive topics that people really don't want to talk about when it comes to distinguishing the difference between a public and a private education. Private education definitely knows you the difference between trading, investing, savings, those type of things. When you ask somebody a basic a question on the street like, "Hey, what's a dividend?" I mean, these are things that if you're saying you're investing, you're supposed to know what a dividend is. Bottom line, it's not, oh, I'm just investing in a stock or I'm investing in this company or I'm investing in this and that. No, you're supposed to know what a dividend is. What is a dividend? But you see people nowadays, they just are playing around with like what they consider chump change, and really they're not investors. Don't be fooled by these people. Check these people's rap sheet. Make sure that they're pros. If they're pros, if they're not pros, they should be honest with you all. And when it comes to whether it's a professional investor or day trader, you all will be able to distinguish that as listeners of the vault. Uh, and just make it a point to really ask people questions when they're asked, they're saying that they're an investor, because usually a successful long-term investor, they still have to know when to take their profits. They still have to know when to do that. They have to tell you that, hey, yeah, we sit in this company for 3 years, we sat in this company for 4 years, maybe the longest, things like that. you know when somebody tells you they sat in a stock or equity for 3 or 4 years, like they've weathered what would be considered, fallbacks forward, fallback forward, fallback forward. So when you see somebody that's been able to weather those small storms, or those storms in general, they obviously have a good eye for companies and things like that. So that's why they're considered professionals, obviously, if they're making a certain amount of capital. And so that's why it's important to consult with those people, get around those people, make a point to get around those people, and invest in your education and get around those people. Because people say, oh, I want to be an investor, I want to be an investor. It's like, how are you going to be an investor? You're not investing in your education at the highest level. Like, what makes you think that you don't need to know it just as much as a bank investor? First of all, the bank investor is going against you. It's a zero sum game. Trading is a zero sum game. When you're trading on the daily, the weekly, whatever, you know, you're still going against a competitor. A competitor that's put up money and says, okay, if 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 I'm wrong, you win, and if you're wrong, I win. That's how the game goes. So that's not just investing. That's trading. Once again, trading. Trading capital. Somebody asked in the chat, what do they do? You got to invest in your education. It's not just a broad statement of like, what's the education? Do I go to college or something of that nature? Do I go get my series license and things like that to learn how to invest or do securities and things like that? Like, no, you just have to surround yourself around the people like that initially. Once you surround yourself around the people that are doing these high grade investments that you would like to be around or be engaged in, then you can get the information. They're talking about it, you know. So making it a point to go and get around those places, those things are very, very important uh, to do. Um, and you just got to do it. You know, you got to invest in finding out, well, what's the name of the people that you want to be in those environments. You know, are you going to, like, they got these brokerages nowadays where they got these educational classes on their website. It's like, right, so how are you guys not going to the website and seeing what the website, that brokerage firm, the classes that they provide to use the platform, or just know about how to evaluate companies, know more about the actual the financial jargon that's in the area of investing or in the area of trading and things like that. Like, those things are important just to be a part of that environment. And you know, so many people are taking it for granted because they think the internet's making everybody social. The internet's not making you social when you have to be in an environment where people are talking about investing or talking about trading on a daily basis. Like, they're actually talking about it. They're living it, they're breathing it, they're talking about the market, they're doing this, they're doing that. When it comes to the market, they're aware of, you know, where the market's closed, they're aware of when earnings season is, they're aware of, you know, where certain companies are trading, they're aware of a sector, they're aware of these things, they're aware of, okay, you know, I'm familiar with these pairs. I'm familiar with this, you know, this commodity, you know, or this type of currency. I'm familiar with it. They're familiar with it. These are people that are sleeping and eating and breathing it. So that's the difference. Is getting around the right people first. You know, so many people think, oh, that's a hard thing to do right off the beginning. You know, I thought there was going to be a book. It's like, well, if you got around the right people, they will share with you books. They might tell you to read the Benjamin Graham book that Warren Buffett read. You know, so it made him more inspired to do investing or long term investing actually, because he probably was punting around for sure. He admits it. He was punting around, and then you know he went to a longer term strategy where he's known to lose a lot of money as well, but he's because he that may not always take the profit. Well, he's sitting in Coca-Cola forever. He's just gonna sit in Coca-Cola forever. If he has any new money, he might throw that in Coca-Cola, but he's been sitting in Coke for how long now? And this is not a promotion of that company. We're not, you know, this isn't financial advice, not legal advice. We can always give that disclaimer, but we're still talking about it though. Like, he's sitting in those companies. You can see his portfolio. He has a public portfolio. He's sitting in Coke. He's sitting in major companies because he has a premise. He has a thesis behind it. So when you all say, well, what's his investment strategy? He's telling you, I'm focused on companies that'll never go out of business. Like, he thinks the government will bail these companies out. Like, he'll invest. He used to be investing in airlines from what it used to show, and now his portfolio doesn't really reflect it. I think they sold out of that position at one point here, but they that doesn't mean that they're not in airplanes or jets, because he actually has a private jet company that he's pretty much put a lot of capital in, kind of like has majority share in, and you know he's doing fractional jet flying and things like that. Like, obviously he has a diverse portfolio, but remember, he's holding these companies for a long term. He's not holding these companies to trade them in 6 months, 3 days. He's not trading companies like that. Warren's not trading companies like that. Like, he's actually sitting in companies for over a year. That's an investor. He's investing for the long term. He's not trading. He's a long term investor. He tells you that. He's a portfolio manager for long term trading. It's not to say he's got like a pension fund, but he has actually, you know, he's buying public companies and stuff like that. You know, so when you look at his portfolio, he's still sitting in for the long term with public companies, not just private companies, public companies that are big, may not be heavy performers, but he knows they're never going to go out of business. He knows they're always going to build some type of equitable value. He actually has really good management team and things like that. But that's another thing we want to talk about is like, when you're a true investor, like a financial investor, like, you're able to contact that. You're actually able to get on the earnings calls. So you can get on the earnings calls. You can pretty much talk to the main CEOs of the company, financial investors at the company, pretty much financial officers at the company, because you're a substantial investor in the company. So you can talk to those people. Traditionally, even if you're a accredited investor and you start investing in some of these companies, yeah, you should be able to pick up the phone and call people like that. Like, they usually invite you to the office. You know, they always try to like caviar you up, you know, with the champagne and thanks for being a great, you know, investor into the company. And, you know, you think about it, like if you put in a substantial amount of capital into a company and they're looking to grow for the long term, they're inviting you into their earnings calls. They're inviting you into their performance meetings when they have meetings where they've shown that they can perform. They perform. They're going to invite you to the office. They have no choice. Like, you just gave them substantial funds. You're going to go to the office. Like, these are things you can look forward to if you're a retail investor. Because so many retail investors don't know that, like, you're not a true professional investor if you're not being invited to the office. And that is not just even an invite. It's almost like when you are a substantial investor in a company and you're a credit investor, you can go and actually meet you can be on the earnings calls. You can actually talk to the people, the investor relations at the company. Like, it's just, you get a little bit more intimate relationship with the company. Like I say, if you want to go sit there and eat caviar, go ahead. You want to sit there and go be a part of the company and hear the CFO try to sell you real well, like, that's fine. You'll be a part of the calls and the conferences that they have, and that's fine. But that means you're an investor. Like, those are people that are actually, like, invited to earnings calls and events and things like that. You're an investor. You're in the long term. You're in the trenches with us. Like, your money has been over here. You haven't taken your money out. You haven't cashed out. We appreciate that. You started out with us at 100,000, and now we're up 100 million, and you still haven't cashed out, and we appreciate that because they understand that. The company understands that. Like, it's a public company at that point. They know you were in from the beginning, and they're not going to just take that for granted. They're going to invite you to their meetings. These are the things that they have to do, not just if you're a long term investor, but just somebody that's put substantial money with these companies. They're going to invite you to the company meetings. You're an investor in the company. Yes, they're inviting you. You may not be a voting member, you might just be a financial member of the company. So it's an investment. So it's just interesting to see how many people are unaware of the difference between an investor or a trader. But, ultimately, an investor and a trader are not, the same thing. And it's just rather important for people to kind of really get their hands and their mind around, these type of things, because when you start really talking about it, you'll be able to have better conversations with, are you trading, or are you really sitting in companies for a long period of time? Are you looking to be able to be on their earnings call? Are you looking to be on their, quarterly meetings or, yearly meetings? Are you looking to be invited and get the caviar? Like we say, that's $250,000 a year. So for everybody to say, what's my first goal as a financial investor, playing with my own capital, is getting to $250,000 a year as a recurring income through trading. It's that simple. Or even managing $250,000 a year a few years in a row. Now they got, of course, they want you to have $1 million outside of your house in equity. You all can look up the definition of accredited investor, but the first goal is getting to accredited investorship. That's where it's like, a lot of retail investors say, I don't know what the first goal is. I just got to get some money so I can live off it. And it's like, well, the first goal is to get the account to where you can be invited to the phone calls and be invited into the environments that we're in. You have to have the capital to get into the environments that we're in. That's kind of like one of the prerequisites. So without that, you're not able to stand in the room and, you know, do anything, honestly. It's kind of like people look over you because you don't have the track record. The track record is the money. So when people say, oh, I got to show that I'm good with money, this is where you show where you're good with money. And so obviously investing is just something that, people gotta get, they gotta get an education about, and they have to know what they're doing. They have to know what they're doing. And people can't blame the financial markets. They have to understand that the markets are fluid, uh, that they're living, and because the markets are living, you have to flow with it. So many people don't know that they have to predict the future as an investor. They think, oh man, I could just watch the news. How can you watch the news and be successful when that's secondhand information? That's one of the biggest things the mentors told us, is like, that's secondhand information. That's not firsthand information. The companies give out the information directly. The equities, the composites, all these places give out information directly. You getting secondhand information is just, it says a lot. Investors are not reading secondhand information. We talked about how Warren Buffett reads the company records early in the morning. He reads companies. He's reading the company perspectives. He's reading the company and what they're doing, their mandate. He's reading those things. Their charter, he's reading those things. And so many people are like demystified, and so many people want to go into this new money type thought process. And what's crazy is the old money, the private money is doing its thing privately and quietly. The private money is doing its thing privately. The private investments are working graciously. The private investments are growing exponentially. First of all, they're private. What do you think? It's a big difference. Of course, there's a difference in if it's public or private. What is an investment? What's a private one and what's a public one? They're different. Exactly. They're different. But are you aware of that? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with being locked out of financial information? Because that's what you got to do. Public school didn't do enough for you. You got to get a private education. It doesn't matter if you went to college. Yeah, you might have went to college. And guess what? We know people that went to college and they're in debt. So it doesn't mean you get a financial education in particular. So what do people need to invest in? They need to invest in their long-term education, not in the money. The money comes. You have to invest the sweat. You have to invest the equity. You have to invest the time. And that's return on minutes. Are you counting your time that you invested in, or is it just, hey, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to see if I can make some money. We're going to play around with some money. They want to play around with it. They want to play with it. They don't want to get rich with it. They don't want to get wealthy with it. They don't think that it could be riches, rags to riches. They don't think this is the most incredible sport, investing or trading. They don't think that it's that. They think that it's just another game. It's a joke. They hear big numbers and they laugh because that's the type of numbers that the country's in debt. They hear that. But they don't know that that's people's bonuses. That's people's payout in a bad market and in a good market. Oh, could it be me? Why not? You're supposed to have a private family bank. People are supposed to have private family banks. In our community, in trustee training, people have private family banks. What's an investment? In your education so your family can have a private family bank. That's what. What's an investment? Being able to control your family's financial future. That's an investment. Being able to control your family's financial future. Can you control your family's financial future? What is an investment? Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com for trustee training, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. Peace and joy.